So I've had the Evolve Renegade now for a few weeks, and in my first video I named it the perfect urban mountain board. I love the carve feel with these super wide trucks, the ability to slap on bindings and do some really cool tricks, whether it's jumps or wheelies. These things definitely change the game. It even has really cool RGB as well too, so if you are riding around the street at night, you get some really cool street accents. So the Renegade checked a lot of boxes for on-road use, but what about off-road? Well, I did just that, and I decided to rip around the sand and mud and rocks and just to really see how far we could push the Renegade. And, I think we pushed it pretty far. Let's go ahead and check this thing out. So on the road, this board carves like a dream. Really, with that channel truck system on there, you would think that with such wide trucks, you wouldn't necessarily get as dreamy of a carve as I did. And with bindings or without, it definitely felt very fluid and almost snowboard-like-esque with the rebound in the deck. And even better that with bindings, you could really dial in that locked-in snowboard style feeling. So whether you're going off of jumps, whether you were trying to do wheelies or tricks, this thing definitely felt that locked-in sensation. And the board being so lightweight, you comparatively to like a top-mounted box system, you could really throw this thing around pretty easily. So I hopped on the board, headed out to the woods, and decided to try trail riding with the bindings on there. And let me go ahead and explain my experience here.
So you can grind meat on those.
So let me also preface this video. We've had an exorbitant amount of rain here. That we had a month's worth of rain within 1 week's time. It was absurd amount of rain. So I've been waiting to test this thing out on the trail since then. I thought I gave enough time to dry up, but clearly with the topsoil and the sand and the mud and rocks that we ran through, this thing really actually performed way better than I initially expected. Heading up really kind of steep inclines and along with very thick, dense sand and muck and brush, I actually thought that this board was going to get stuck a few times, and to my disbelief that it wasn't. The one thing that was my biggest concern was clearance and ground clearance. Reason being is that the back of these belt drives, they are only about maybe 2 inches off of the actual ground. So typically no problem when you're obviously going off-roading on a regular trail, but with all the exposed debris and brush and rocks that I had in this trail, it definitely kind of made me a little nervous. Easy enough to say that no, this thing handled it beautifully. There were some parts that were pretty flat and compact, which I was able to do some wheelies and try out my tricks. Need to work on those. Need a lot more time to work on those. And then there were other times where we were going down hills that were completely gravel filled and just washed away from the rain. So stuff that was a few weeks ago easy to ride on and pretty compact, now exposed some pretty jagged rocks and thick mud. So overall, it definitely outperformed what I was expecting overall. The one thing I would also like to note is the 175mm wheels really did help out a lot. I was actually surprised how much traction I had in some very loose sand situations. The carve-like feel was still there. I was able to kind of kick out the back end a little bit too, as you can see here. And overall, just had a very fun experience off-roading with bindings. It does feel completely different than when you're not with bindings. You almost feel a little bit like you fall off at any given moment. Obviously, the bindings give you that locked-in feeling there, so you can kind of push yourself a little further. I was able to do little tiny bunny hops uphill, wheelies in the straightaways, and really kind of start carving in a little bit deeper than I probably would have if I didn't have bindings on there. Overall, fantastic job in my opinion. So I did go in with a full battery charge. I wanted to make sure that I had enough power and range to really make it through this trail. Now, after a little over 4 miles of riding, I came out with 76% battery life. That 12S4P Samsung 50S has an incredible amount of capacity, and I think that really lends to a pretty phenomenal number with the amount of weight, 220 pounds without any of the gear on, and then 2, going up really steep inclines, and obviously off-roading in general does take a massive chunk of battery life out on any given board. So the fact is that I came out with 76% battery life on there. I was really impressed. I thought I was gonna come out with like 50 or less, but after, like I said, a little over 4 miles of trail riding, it was a pretty fun experience. So definitely chalk that up to the Renegade. So what are my overall thoughts with the Renegade? I mean, as you can see here, I definitely put it through its paces. We went through mud, we went through rocks. The underside here, I'm telling you, I was very shocked with how well this board performed. And I mean, Evolve did a fantastic job. The flexi deck, the bindings, the choice of 175mm wheels, the brand new battery pack. It had enough power to get me up very steep hills with loose gravel. And overall, I think that this outperformed some boards that probably would have struggled off-roading. So that being said, it's a fantastic board in my opinion. If you're looking for something that is really kind of a urban mountain board, again, if you haven't yet checked out my full in-depth review, go ahead and check out that link up there. But a urban mountain board that can do off-roading as well, it's a pretty phenomenal deal. Well guys, thank you again so much for checking out this channel. I hope you enjoyed the content that I produced here for you. If you'd like to go ahead and pick up an Evolve or any of the Evolve products, go ahead and check out that link down below there and use DREWEVOLVE in the checkout. Save yourself a few bucks off there as well too to directly support the channel. Until the next time guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Click that subscribe button, thumbs up this video, and remember, always wear a helmet. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.